Hey, what's going on, everybody? Heading into work. Got a hunt planned for this afternoon. Gonna try to go after a bobcat. My grandma wants me to knock down a possum while I'm out there for her. Both things are good because they'll both eat turkeys in one form or another. Possums will eat turkey eggs. Bobcat will eat turkeys. So that's great. Trying to do a little bit of turkey preservation. Gonna use an e-collar for the bobcat, and then if the possum shows up, the possum shows up. I may try to get a couple of squirrels or rabbits while I'm out there. Just a little bit of extra goodiness while I'm there. We'll see what happens. This is my first time filming, so that's gonna be interesting. Hopefully it comes out okay. Just cruising into work right now, sitting here sipping my coffee, listening to podcasts. Should be there within the next 25-30 minutes, and gonna get the day started, go through picking up trash and everything, and get to the woods. My season this year, my fall season went okay. Got to see some really cool things. Did a lot of public land hunting. Unfortunately, that's going to have to change because of the laws here in Missouri. It's a little expensive to film on MDC, Missouri Department of Conservation lands. So my plan is to start changing the direction I was going so I can film without having to deal with the extra. My fall seasons, I learned a lot. Figured out I can step like a deer moving through the woods really well. I can sound like a deer really well with my grunts and everything. Was able to rattle in a little 4-pointer, but he stayed on the wrong side of the property line while I was at my grandparents'. And then had a few real cool encounters on public land with deer. Had some turkeys coming into my decoys in the fall, and then they just didn't like something and wound up spooking and turning around and running off. And waterfowl was really cool. Was able to kill a few mallards this year. So far, that's the only thing I've dropped. But Saturday, planning on doing on one of my grandma's neighbors' property. We'll talk more about that in the next video. And it's gonna be a good couple of hunts. I'm gonna get it wrapped up pretty quickly, hunting wise, here towards the end of the seasons. And then it's gonna be time to start scouting for turkeys. Turkeys are my favorite thing to hunt, and I'm really looking forward to doing that. I think that this season's going to be really good. I was last spring I was able to go at it with a turkey for, I want to say 4 hours, pretty close to 4 hours. Wasn't able to seal the deal. Somebody owl hooted from the road in the public and shut him up, and I had to get going. So that ended the hunt. Not really, I guess. Can't use the word ruined. It's public land. Things are bound to happen. So, yeah, we're going to have a good day at work and get after it. Getting ready to get going here. A little bit of snow started coming down. It said that it was supposed to be less than an inch. I didn't even think it was really going to accumulate much to really look like anything, but there's a slight dusting out there. Getting ready to leave the shop to start running my list of things to do today before the fun stuff starts happening. This is fun too, though. I do enjoy my job. up out of the trash truck, gonna go head to the woods. Realized I didn't kind of walk through my plan this morning as I was working, and I figured now would be a great time to kind of talk about what the plan is exactly. So, new to hunting in general, like newer-ish, a little bit of background information on me. Hunted in high school, a couple, like for deer and stuff. Got my hunter's education whenever I was 11 and everything, like most people typically do here in the state of Missouri. But I didn't get much opportunity to do it later on in my 20s like I would have liked to, because I stayed busy and I have a son that's born opening weekend of deer season. And so it makes things tough because I've been doing birthday parties and everything like that, and family first. So I didn't know about all the different opportunities of hunting that we had here in Missouri. You could call it, like, a lot of that probably goes under the ignorance thing, but nonetheless, I didn't know about all the opportunities. I had no idea about public land until like about a year ago, because that's whenever I started hunting. So like the fall of 2020 was whenever I found out like public land was a thing. Other than that, I had no idea. I didn't know that there was public land hunting. I thought you had to have private property. Nobody told me any different. So that was a real cool opening and experience for me. Kind of touched on the public land thing this morning whenever I was still half asleep at like 3 a.m. whenever we started filming. I guess it was about 3:05, 3:15, and I had like just woke up, finished loading the car, getting coffee going and stuff. But wide awake now, super excited, getting to go hunting. It's gonna be a short hunt, probably only gonna be out there like a full hour. And so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go straight after the Bobcat, because that's priority. And my grandma's got a possum that if he's around, we'll pop him. And then if we have any time remaining, we'll try to scare up some rabbits. And maybe I'm doing this backwards, because maybe it'd be better to go after the smaller stuff first. But the priority, like the main hunt, is for the Bobcat. So I want to make sure I get that in. And then we can go from there. So the Bobcat has been seen in a couple of spots on like the western side of the property. So what we're gonna do is, and it's been pretty close to my grandma's house, so we're gonna park at my grandma's house. We'll walk back behind my grandma's house into the woods and kind of hunt that western side of the property where it's a property line. And we're gonna hunt close to that property line, set up in a way. I want the wind, I'm gonna be facing into the wind because I'm anticipating it to come from somewhere around that property line. Reason being is the piece of property that we're on, that my grandma has, is there's no super significant land features, and so it makes it a little bit of an interesting place to hunt. I've learned a lot while hunting it for deer this past fall, because I really took time. I did it the typical redneck way before this year, you know, or I guess even not last year, but the year before, like any time before last year. And then so from like 2020 to 2021, I was really trying to understand the different animals and everything. So with that in mind, I learned a ton about how significant land features are and everything like that. And there's nothing super huge that is like a mainstay. I found one bed on my grandma's property, but it's an old bed. It doesn't look like anything embedded in it in a long time. So we're going to, and actually thinking about it, we're going to be hunting back there near where that old bed is. But it's because there's a ton of animal activity back there, and where you have, you know, herbivore type animals, you're going to have your predator animals because they eat the predator animals, or herbivore, you know, the prey. I cannot talk, apparently. So we are going to hunt that western side. It's a hillside. There's a lagoon back there that's going to be back behind us. And we're really going to just try to set up close to where he's been seen a couple of times. He's been seen out by my grandpa's old woodshed, and he has been the bobcat has been heard from like southwest of my grandparents' house. So I just bumped a couple of does as I was walking back here. I was walking a little bit faster than what I normally do. I was walking a little more careless than what I typically do. I typically do like heel, toe, and I do it at a cadence to try to sound more like a deer than a human, and I wasn't doing it. And I was trying to be quiet, but wasn't trying to be super quiet either. Should have been trying to be quieter, because I'm in the woods regardless of what I'm trying to hunt. I don't want to be spooking everything, letting everything know I'm here. So I didn't do a very good job of that. They came from over there. They were on like the top of that ridge right there. Not top, more like halfway up. And I should have known that they would have been in that area around this time, because that's normally where they are when they start feeding. So I should have known. Shame on me. And lesson learned. Found my spot. It's a little bit more uphill than what I was planning, but it's kind of off over towards the property line like we were wanting. I wanted to set my call over on this part of the ridge right here, but I realized that quickly wasn't going to work, because it was going to be so far away from a good spot where I had some good cover. I put myself kind of here in between this stump and these two trees. Try to have a fair amount of cover. I wish some of this stuff right here was growing up around it, so it would be a bit more vertical and horizontal cover. But I'm hoping I can blend in fairly well. But we're gonna set the call right in there with the jackrabbit scream going, and hopefully we get something. Found a nice looking scrape right where I'm getting ready to set up. Obviously not hunting for deer, but that'll be good information for later on. Knock the tree down at some point. I don't know if the buck did or if the storms and stuff we've had in the past like month and a half did. I haven't been back here in a little while, but let's get after it. New plan. The scream isn't continuous like I thought, so I'm gonna have to go grab the call, and I'm gonna have to keep the call closer than what I had wanted. So I'm gonna give it just a minute before I do that. But looks like I'm gonna have to bring the call closer.
So, I'm sitting here looking around as we're getting a little short on time. It wasn't going to be a long hunt today, with everything going awry like it did. I wound up, I didn't know how much time I was going to end up having. That's one of the, I guess, somewhat downfalls of a workday hunt, but at least I'm getting out here and I'm trying. But I dove into this spot here because I was like, I gotta hurry up. This is a fairly decent spot. It's not far from one of the last sightings that we had of the Bobcat. It's an older sighting, but I thought it'd be worth a shot. Maybe I could get some kind of predator coming through, whether it was a Bobcat or some coyotes or something. Just something to come through. I've called a couple of times. Haven't really seen anything, but as I'm looking around, I see these limbs laying over, and I didn't see them during deer season, which they would have been there. I just didn't look at that ridge whenever I was out here. It would have been a good spot to set up and hide. I did during deer season not bump. They had been shot at and they had come running in, and they came running in so fast I didn't get a chance to shoot at them. But I tried to get a doe to stop right about in there, and she she didn't stop. She was in such a hurry because she had been shot at. But there's sign all up and down this where they travel. Coming from over here, there's a bunch of cedars and stuff on the neighbor's property. They're bedding there. They just travel down this hillside, following the drainage all the way down to the creek bed. Creek bed's got a little bit of water in it, but it typically doesn't hold much water. But they'll go through that creek bed over into this field, and there's a thicket, like some thick foliage right down in there that they like to use to access the field on the neighbor's property. I've got one last call that I am gonna get to do, and then I'm gonna have to bounce because work night, gotta go to work tomorrow. Gotta load the car up with decoys for a goose hunt this weekend, so maybe we'll have some better luck there. Supposed to be some good weather for it on Saturday, so that'll be fun. Yeah, let's give her a little hoot one last time, or more like a squeal, I guess, huh? Well, no luck, unfortunately, but bobcats cover a lot of ground. I looked it up because I knew they covered distance, but I knew they didn't cover like mountain lion distance, and but I wasn't sure like what kind of ground they covered. And they cover 1 to 18 miles in like a day, or that's their territory. I can't recall off the top of my head, and I'm not going to act like I'm an expert because clearly I'm not, because like I said, I'm newer-ish, however you want to word it. But yeah, unfortunately it didn't come through. We've seen some good sign. I wish I could have gotten a picture of the deer. Sorry about that. I just couldn't get to my phone in time. But there's all kinds of sign back in here for deer. I know, half a year can make a difference. We'll see what it's like in September. There. I'll zoom in on it. See if we can't see it. Yeah, that barbed wire fence is the property line. And they'll hang out in the firs right there. And I'm guessing that's their late season bedding, because that's about normally where I see them coming from. And then they just feed in through here. There's oaks and stuff in this area, lots of them. One thing I'm going to work on is identifying trees, because I'm not super good at it. I've gotten to a point where I can kind of tell what an oak is and what an oak is not. But we're going to camera back in here. This whole year I hadn't run any cameras because I just wasn't wanting to. Really couldn't with doing public land and that being my main focus. But now that it's not my main focus, we can kind of change things up. I'm gonna actually use trail cams more so, probably to scout for ducks and stuff. But we'll start using them for deer and turkey too, and maybe get a glimpse of this bobcat back in here somewhere. Another thing that I was thinking about earlier that I don't want to forget to say is whenever I bumped them deer, they were like down lower, and while it wasn't super sunny or anything, the way the sun was, I do imagine that I got skylined a little bit. So being skylined didn't help any. But overall, I think it was a successful outing. We'll see how this video makes it to YouTube. I think I am going to put it up just because I think there is some good stuff in here, some stuff to learn. I now know the limits of the call, which I guess I should have tested. But in the house, you hit it once and it's in the house and you figure, ooh, okay, that's loud.